And welcome to another episode of Power On Podcast Portable. I am Sushi B. How are y'all doing out there? And with me, of course, is my co-host, Taylor Muragaru553. How's it going, Taylor?
I'm doing good. I didn't just get back. I got back from some exercising and stuff.
Nice.
Ready to go.
Awesome. So you're all pumped up and ready for this episode then?
Yes, I am.
Wonderful. Great. Why don't we go straight into it then?
Sure. Well, but how are you doing?
Oh, I'm doing okay. I actually went to the gym earlier too, so I feel pretty good.
All right.
So today we're going to be actually covering yet another PSP game, our second in a row. And we are doing a series that you have a lot of affinity with and have been around for a long time. And we are covering E7 today. Yeah.
No. By the by, I wouldn't say I've been around a long time with it. I just loves it.
Oh, you're familiar with it, at least.
Well, yeah. No, I guess to say the introduction into the whole East thing was maybe 5 years ago. First time playing East, so I have loved it since.
Longer than me, at least. I mean, Ease has always been a series I've been aware of, but it's been something very difficult to track down in North America. Mm-hmm. Back in the day, at least. I mean, I didn't have any money, sort of thing, and yeah, you would see them in magazines about the games and stuff, and they always looked somewhat like Zelda games to me, just from the pictures, because you couldn't really get a lot out of them, but they always looked neat, and some people who seemed to know something about Ease always had something positive to say about them, but it took a while for me to really finally get a chance to play. The first one I actually played was Ease 3 Wanderers of Ease on the Genesis, and I didn't really like it too much. It was just not for me, and then luckily I was able to get the eventual Virtual Console repackaging of Ease 1 and 2 from the, the Turbo CD, is that right? Or
I think so. I'm actually not too, to be honest, I'm not too sure. That was the first East experience that I actually had too, but that was back in Saitama and another time, another place.
On the Turbo Graphics, or?
No, it was the Wii Virtual Console download. So
I don't remember when that came out, but I remember buying it right maybe the day it came out or very shortly after, a few days after something. And I think I played it for a little bit, and then it was just, it didn't quite grab me right at the start. I was just thinking, this is interesting enough, but it took a while, and then I came back to it, and I enjoyed it a lot. It's not my favorite game by any means, but I still enjoyed it enough to go through both games, and would still very much recommend them.
Now, with E7, what made you actually want to play it other than for this episode?
Well, I mean, I bought E7 when it was released as well. As soon as it was released, I was very interested in it. Looked very good for a PSP game, and obviously there was a very nice packaging that Xseed was so kind to put together for the fans of Ease, and just to sort of gather interest for it. And the reviews were good prior to the release. I mean, again, it was sort of that I knew things about Ease, but hadn't really been too well-versed in the series at all. Mm-hmm. And most of the reviews and stuff, and people were talking about Ease 7 being, although different than the other games, a very good jumping point to come in. So I guess that would probably be why, and I think partly was mostly the packaging and stuff. It was just sort of, it looked really great. It looked like a very nice PSP package. So
a good deal. I see. All right, then. I guess we should kind of jump in there. And you make the point about it being a good game to start with. After playing it, do you think that's that's an appropriate case to make for it, or?
I would still say so. Yeah, I mean, the first Ease game I fully went through was 1 and 2, so at least I had a little bit of background, some of the stuff that the world and universe is about.
Right.
But I think even still, anyone can just pick up E7 and just enjoy the game. You don't have to know anything about the story. You can just completely ignore everything that's going on, because the game is good at sort of just leading you, okay, go here and then here and here. And it's very enjoyable. Even if you have very little knowledge of the games before, or even this particular game, it's fine. It's a really fun game.
I could agree with that. For those who don't know, the series of East, for the most part, is the chronicalized story of adventures that adult Christian has throughout the world, because it's not just strictly video game Europe, but
right.
but that he has, and it's kind of during the Roman time, sort of, is kind of the vibe it's supposed to give off there a little bit. And it sings as a Z7. He's had 6 adventures before this. And they do, or Falcom does a pretty good job of kind of, for the most part, kind of doing the same thing with each game, kind of how it's introduced and everything. And you have Dogi usually there, not all the time, but you have Dogi there, and who we'll get into later. You go off of the ship into the town. It's kind of a very, I guess, regurgitated.
It's like a set formula.
Yeah, it's a set formula. It's always got if they're coming off the docks into town kind of thing. What kind of crazy adventures are they getting into in the next episode of these?
Right.
So, and I don't mind it. I mean, it's by E7, you've gotten to the point where that formula has really started to, I guess, kind of wear thin, because you have him ship.
I guess my phone is still on. I apologize, Taylor. Go ahead. Sorry, man.
Well, I was just going to say, you have the him getting shipwrecked a couple times, him going into the docks, him getting shot from a tower to the next place, and those are the openings. San's the newest one. The newest one. He's just kind of going in, and I don't know. I don't mind it. I don't know where I'm going with this exactly, but they've done a good job to where Falcom has made it so you can play games other than probably East 2 and East 4, both of them, not Celceta, kind of a little different, but like Mask of the Sun and Dawn of East. Other than those 2 games, you actually, I think it's better to play like 1 than 2 than 4.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of that, you could actually just play Felghana as Felghana. You could just play Origin as Origin. You could play, God knows why, but you could play Kefin or 5 by itself. Well, I know a lot of people like 5, but yeah, with 7 is the case as well. You could actually just kind of play it on its own, and you don't have to be a huge fan of the series or massively interested in the stories to get tons of enjoyment out of E7.
Right. And this is chronologically in order, right? By this point, is that right?
This sort of.
Oh, okay.
like you have 1, 2, 4, 3, 5, 6, 7.
Okay.
And Origin's well before all of that. So I guess Origin 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, yeah. 1, 2, 4, 3, 5. Oh God. 6, 7.
Okay, so just 4 and 3 are flipped.
Right.
Okay. Fair enough.
And in between some of the games, there's, depending on which game it's in between, different amounts of time has gone through and stuff. So in between 6, Arcanapishtim, and 7, there's about 6 months or so. It's not entirely definitive exactly how much time, but there's been X amount of months that have passed by.
But not very long.
But not too horribly long.
Okay.
So I guess characters. You want to jump into characters right away, or?
Well, why don't we still just tackle a little bit more about the story?
Okay, all right. Okay.
Just the overall general story.
What does it say? What do you have to say about the story?
Well, just in general, the story is pretty basic, I think, for this game, and it works fine. It does its job, but it follows a lot of... obviously, it follows cliches. I don't want to bring that up because most RPGs do, right? I just noticed it felt like a lot of things were taken, maybe just almost flat out taken from other stories. I don't want to ruin too much by saying too many things, but there's definitely shades of Lunar in there.
Okay, well, I guess maybe not taken, but it's...
Well, very similar,
Mirrors, maybe.
Right.
I don't know if you... you could say that about a lot.
No, that's what I mean. You could say that those cliches that are always carried over, right? But there's just so many things, I guess, particularly in this game, I just could only think back to something else that predated it by quite a bit. It doesn't bother me or anything. It's just, as I was playing game, I was just thinking, okay, I'm not that enthralled by this because I just feel like it's been regurgitated from somewhere else and blended into a brand new RPG, sort of.
In a different kind of setting.
Right. There were shades of Lunar in there for me. There were shades of Skies of Arcadia even in there for me. Just things like that. It's not a bad thing. It's definitely not bad to mimic other games that have done well. But Ys is sort of known for having a very strong storytelling, but from everything I've gathered, I don't really like that much of the story, to be honest. It doesn't really captivate me.
And this is where I'm going to get hung from the rafters by a certain person. But I've
Calling the gallows.
Yeah! But it's not that I dislike the stories, but I don't find them mesmerizing. They're fun, but they're not ones that are my favorite kind of stories. As you kind of pointed out, they kind of get you from point A to point B to point C. They pull you along, or they kind of push you along.
Right.
But it's nothing that's going to be really, I guess, kind of like, oh, that's really interesting, or oh man, that blew my mind, kind of thing. But usually, for the most part, and this is a lot of games, so it usually kind of fails to do that. You could kind of say that for a lot of action RPGs, though. Like Zelda, I don't really find the things that happen in Zelda a lot of the times to really kind of, oh my god! So it's definitely, action RPGs definitely really focus on being awesome at its action.
Sure, of course. At the core, that's what it is supposed to be. Sometimes strategy RPGs do that. I mean, sometimes they sort of pull a great story out, but often strategy RPGs are sort of in the same vein of that.
Right. I agree with that. But yeah, it's not... The story, I don't mind it, but it doesn't, as you kind of said, it doesn't really strive to do anything, maybe not even, I don't want to say original, but at least something that's kind of has a nice twist to it. Mm-hmm. I guess it's very...
Typical, almost?
Typical? Yeah, that's a good word for it, very typical. And I don't mean that in a negative way. It's just, it's just, it works.
Right. Let's move on from there. So basically, we've said all we can say, that it gets the job done. So.
It gets the job done.
Right.
So, characters? Want to get roll into
Sure,
these
let's go right into characters. Why don't you take the reins here?
All right, so you have the face of the Ys series franchise, and that is Adol Christian, and he is your silent protagonist, and which is that's something I really don't like. But he's the typical kind of adventurer that's always looking for a new adventure. Right. That's what he's striving for, new and exciting adventures. And he uses swords, and by this point in his lifetime, he is an archaic, by JRPG standards, 23 years old. I honestly, there's not really too much to say about him. He is your typical, what's the word I want to use, typical...
Hero archetype? Or
hero archetype, I was going to say, like, vestibule? What the heck's the word I want? Whatever. I can't think of English anymore. He's your typical kind of blank slate for you to fill your own kind of character emotions into and stuff. Mm-hmm. But also with the little twist of liking everybody. Or like wanting to help everybody. So, I don't know. I don't really have
I don't really have much to add to that. I mean, I like the character. Good look, really
he's
good.
Red,
he stands out a lot because the other characters typically don't have much red on them.
Right, and he's got the red hair, which is what he's kind of labeled for, and sometimes he'll be, I think in the games they kind of will, in the English ones, they'll nickname him Adol the Red, from what I can recall.
I think I've definitely seen it in print somewhere, so.
But yeah, so you have him, and then next is Dogi, who is his cohort. He is not always, but with him a majority of the time. And he used to be a thief until he met Adol and kind of changed ways. He loves crushing walls. It seems to be a prerequisite for Dogi, is to bust down some walls. And I would say he's a bit of a mouthpiece for Adol. Since Adol doesn't talk, you kind of have to glean parts of Adol's, I guess, true character through Dogi, and he is also a bit comical. I don't know if what I said makes any sense, but...
No, that makes sense. He definitely is the lighter side of the story, at least in 7. He's just there to provide, as you said, to provide the voice of I say Adol, but Adol or Adol, because there is no voice there, right? So you need someone there to interact with the other characters, because obviously if you're projecting yourself into the main character, you cannot interact with them yourself.
Right. And he uses Knuckles, and where Adol's a bit quicker, I find that Nogi's a kind of a slower character to use.
Yeah, he's a big dude. So.
He's a big dude, and he's a little slower, and he likes to punch things.
Yes, he does.
He's also 28 years of age, which makes him grandfather.
Yeah, really. He's really long in the tooth.
So, yeah. Anything else you want to add there for Doge?
No, I really like the character a lot, though. I think he's a good counterpoint to Adol, because you just get a sense that they're nothing alike, but they've become friends over time.
Yeah, and plus he's got the blue to him, and so
right.
It's a very stark contrast of Adol being all red, and then you have Dogi, who's kind of got the blue motif going with him.
Right. So visually, yeah, it's a good pair.
Yeah. Next up, I'm just kind of going in the line of just how the characters come in and whatnot. But
sure.
Next up, you have Aisha, and she's kind of your bow user of the party, and she joins Adol and Dogi to kind of, I don't want to say it because it kind of spoils it.
Yeah, don't say too much, but
to look for something. I'll say that. So she happens to join Adol and Dogi as they kind of go through Altago, which is the for point of reference, it's basically, think of Carthage / North Africa is kind of the reference point for it. So think of it as that, and as Adol and Dogi are kind of going through and inspecting the strange happenings that are going on in the realm of Altago, Aisha here tags along and also looks for something. Yes. And she is 16 years of age, so she is quite young compared to Adol and Dogi there.
Right. She's sort of got a bit of a gypsy look to her.
A little bit of a gypsy look to her, and she's a little, what's the word I don't want to say stubborn, but childish maybe, I guess?
Yeah, she's got this hyperactive streak to her, sort of, but she's very, I don't know, yeah, I can't find the word either. She just has this air about her of, she knows what she wants, and if you don't follow what she wants, she doesn't like you.
She gets, kind of pouty.
Right.
So, but I didn't really care for her too much.
Yeah, she's okay. She drops out of the story for a while, so.
Next up here I have, there's two different sayings for this. I know him as Gash, but I believe how they have him in English is Gace.
Gace, yeah.
Or Geese.
I think it's Gace.
I would say, right, I would think Gace too. But, and he is awesome. I really enjoy his character because he pops up in E6. But that being said, you come across him and he's not a big fan of Adol.
Nope.
He's also an adventurer and kind of sees himself as the adversary and rival to Adol.
Right.
And he also has these 3 fairies with him, which you'd have to play E6 to understand where they come from. Mm-hmm. But they're with him, and they're kind of meh towards them. But
yeah, they don't play much of a role at all in the game, I mean.
Other than to be there and annoy. And he uses the halberd, which is kind of a, I don't want to say clunky, but it's a little weird to get used to, I think, to kind of control as a character. But personally, once you do get used to him, I think he's a really fun character to use. Mm-hmm. And he's 22. So I don't know if anything else you want to add there.
He's a very good attacker, but he cannot take a hit worth anything. He takes any damage, and I would have him in my party. And I remember you telling me before I started playing that you really like the character and that he's very useful in battle. And I thought, okay, as soon as I got him, I was, okay, let's throw this guy right in. Let's see what he can do. And he starts attacking because typically when I played the game, I didn't really switch characters very often unless there was a need to. So I just kind of let him run off and do his own thing as I'm in these battles and stuff. And next thing, every time I look over, to see the screen of his health, it's just dropping like mad. He's just got no defense whatsoever. He just can't do anything. I couldn't use him in any boss battles because he'd always just get slammed.
Parry and dodge more.
I guess so. You have to dodge for sure. So, but the computer doesn't dodge quite, to the accuracy of your dodging techniques. So sometimes they get nailed a lot more than you do. So having Dogi's there is fine because he's just a bulldozer. He can take lots of hits.
Right. Oh, well, I like using him, and he's kind of got a bit of a drifter look to him. He does have the kind of look of an adventurer, I would say.
Yeah.
He actually fits it more than I would say actually at all.
Right.
In his appearance.
Right, he doesn't look quite as heroic. He looks like he'd do anything to beat you at whatever, beat you at finding the treasure or what have you. Almost like a merc. He's almost like a...
That's a good point. He definitely a merc would kind of fit his...
You could see somebody paying him money to do something and he'd have no problem with it. Anyways.
So next up I have Elk.
Yeah, I don't like
him. Yeah, I don't like him either.
He stinks.
He's if anybody was made out of paper mache, I would say Elk would be. And he's this 13-year-old little... He uses was it like a twin blade?
It's a sort of almost like a bow staff with blades on the end, sort of, but it's much shorter.
And he's
pretty useless.
He's so useless. He's
annoying.
Got it
close, and he's even worse maybe than Gase, right? He can't take any damage at all, and he can't dish out any offense either, unfortunately. So
right, he's all about hitting a lot and trying to evade.
Yeah, he's fast, but the problem is there's a lot of attacks in the game that do multiple hits a lot of the time. So if he gets hit even just slightly, he'll get hit 2 or 3 times, and then he gets damaged a lot.
Right, and yeah, he is a new character. I just kind of like, he along with Aisha, I didn't really care for as new characters. Actually, most of the new characters. Next up, you have Mustafa.
Right.
Who he uses that hammer and he's really slow.
I don't mind. He's slow. He's way slower. This guy.
Oh yeah, this dude is made out of the molasses of the coldest of winters. I mean, you could probably make a ship of bubble gum that could sail across the ocean faster than. Could have Mustafa. Like Mustafa's so damn slow, and he's from one of the villages that you come across, and he's a bit of a standoffish character. I mean, Gash is adversarial for a reason, where Mustafa is just kind of a prick.
Well, he's untrustworthy of outsiders, right?
Right. But
they've had bad experiences in his village, and
he's a bit of a prick.
A little bit. I mean, he definitely is at first, and even still by the end, he doesn't completely warm up, but there's definitely a level of respect between him and Dogi and Adol, at least. And, I mean, he doesn't really have interactions with the other characters very much. So.
He's pretty, at least he's loving and kind of protective of his younger sister.
Right.
Who's one of the other characters that you can get.
Oh, you might as well bring her up now.
And that's Kuruche. That's kind of how I know him.
Yeah, I don't know how to say it, because it's spelled Cruxie, so I wasn't sure if it's like Cruxie, is it Krutzi? I wasn't quite sure, but...
And, well, yeah, she's Mustafa's younger sister, and she has a bit of the fever that is plaguing Altago, and that's the Iska fever, or the Ishka fever, I guess.
No, that's right, yeah.
But however, like, when you do get her, she's like a carbon copy of Mustafa.
A little bit faster, though. I mean,
a little bit faster, but, like, in regards to, like, the skills and stuff, she's really,
Yeah, she's clunky, but if those skills do manage to hit, you're in pretty good shape. It's just a matter of you've really got to learn the timing of everything, and it's a lot of trial and error with those big kind of characters. Just like any kind of game, right? Fighting games, the big characters are always really hard to learn how to use and that kind of thing.
Next up, you have Mishera.
Yeah.
And she's from one of the other villages, and she cannot physically see, which I like that aspect. It's actually something a little different, I guess.
Yeah.
You could say.
She's kind of like Daredevil, sort of, in that regard.
Yeah, a little bit, because I think she states it right away when you meet her that she kind of can see through the wind.
Through the wind, yeah.
Which is pretty cool, and I think she's an interesting character. However, she lacks a little bit of screen time.
She does, yeah. She Yeah, she really doesn't have much to say. She seems to be important, but is always just in the backdrop, sort of. I actually like her character a lot. I like the look of it. It's pretty basic, but in battle and stuff, she can be terribly slow as well for an archer, but I found her quite useful a lot of the time. Actually, I had her in my party quite a bit of the time, I found, because you often need a character that has at least a bit of range, and there's lots of enemies where that pierce attack only affects them.
Right.
She was useful to me, I thought. Her charge attack is pretty crappy, but otherwise I thought she was pretty cool. She had some pretty decent skills. And
yeah, I didn't mind her because she used like the staff magic wind attacks kind of thing as her normal attack, and I didn't mind it so much.
Yeah.
And I guess the last one that you can kind of bring up here is Sigrun.
Yeah.
And yeah.
I don't know what to say, because you know what? I never used her either.
I don't think a lot of people do.
She's a carbon copy of Aisha, basically, right? And
right.
She comes in and she's got maybe even a worse attitude than Mustafa.
True.
So,
yeah.
She's not likable from the start. She's not even in your party for that long, honestly.
Yeah, she's
kind of
rather lame.
Away. She's
rather lame.
Just meh, whatever. She's just there.
The thing is that you bring up a point is that this game, as opposed to some of the earlier East games, the characters, each character has a certain kind of attribute to their attack style, because you have the slashing, you have the piercing, and you kind of, I guess you would say the crushing.
Striking?
Striking, yeah. And so each enemy is, well, not all of the enemies, but most of the enemies have a weakness to one of those three. And so you, instead of traditional East style where it's just Adol wrecking havoc and murdering populations monsters, right? you actually have a trio of characters murdering populations of monsters. And as you kind of mentioned earlier, is a lot of the times you just kind of stick to Adol, and you're just like, okay, fuck this, we're just going to murder things until it becomes too much of a pain to actually kill with Adol, and so you have to switch over to somebody else.
Right.
So, I think that's how most people played E7.
Yeah, I mean, I played that most of the way like that. Fortunately, you can equip Adol with a different sword type that allows him to sort of take advantage of each of those different types of striking abilities.
Right.
But typically, I just use the slash sword because I like to just balance the team out of having him at the front. Dogi was, I think, my second 99% of the time. I think I might have taken him out once or twice. But he was always back up as the heavy hitter, the guy who gets in close for the strike attacks. And then I just typically had an archer-type character in the back.
That's kind of how the game's set up. I mean, it's an evolution from pretty much kind of from like East 5 a little bit has the magic thing, but particularly with Nepishtim, and going from Nepishtim to Felgana, and now, I mean, Origin to a lesser degree, but to this whole, like, having this, what's the word, triumvirate of, like, different kind of attacks.
Mm-hmm.
And so, one will be great against this enemy, average, and then poor, and then it's very rock, paper, scissors like.
Right.
And I don't mind it. I like it. I liked the evolution from what it is used to be to what it is now.
Right.
Because you haven't played the other ones, it's kind of hard to say. But what do you think of the party system exactly? I
mean, I like it a lot. I think that it adds a bit more layer to this sort of regular action, where a lot of other action RPGs have tried to do things, but it's still typically just one character in the party often.
Right.
And so this case, it was nice. It was different to have the three characters just on the fly, change at any time that you want. If you want to bash somebody down with Dogi, you just go for it, right? You can use his skills, whatever. Personally, I thought it was cool. I thought it really helped give the game a bit more of identity as well. Mm-hmm. Although it's still part of the Ys universe, it still gave it something different. And I know some people that are very, if you want to say traditionalist, didn't like it from what I understand.
Right.
I guess because I've only played 1 and 2 and then I jumped straight into 7, which is completely different. I found that I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, I really liked it. I thought it was a nice change of pace there. So, yeah. Anything else you want to add about the... Oh, actually, no. There's a...
We missed a pretty important character there. I mean, well, a character and a sort of
Well,
minor
there's a few. Do you want to bring them up?
I mean, sure. There's Tia, who is a girl who's working in the sort of dark, dingy lower quarter of the main city. What is the main city? It's like Old Town or something, right?
Right.
Which is, that part for me was very reminiscent of Skies of Arcadia. There was a sort of part in the game that was like that. And her, I don't know what you want to call her, but Maya, I mean, sort of her sister? Like,
kind of in a way. Yeah, it's
at least sister-like.
Yeah, it's like
least.
Almost like an adopted sister.
Right.
In a way.
They sort of work together, and Maya just goes around selling her flowers. She appears to be mute. She doesn't talk. Eventually, some things obviously happen, and she gets sick, and so, Tia kind of has this dilemma of how does she take care of her, but she still needs to kind of go out and do her own thing. I mean, she's a pretty decent character. She seems to be portrayed as being a very strong character, but at the same time fragile. But unlike other characters that are sort of in that vein, I didn't really find I was that gravitated towards her.
There's something that's a little lacking with her character, it feels like. I don't exactly know how to put it, but she's lacking something. I don't know if it just from not enough screen time or not really enough interesting dialogue.
Yeah, we don't get much backstory on her or anything. I mean, that could be part of it. Mm-hmm. She's just introduced right away, sort of, and it's just kind of go for it.
Here and there a little bit. Like, really early on, you have to kind of bring her back to Altago City, and it's kind of reminiscent to some of the other episodes that happen in the series, but it's so A, brief, B, easy, C, just kind of meh. So there's a lot more interesting things that happen in the game without her being present, or at least being central to the issue at hand. Another important character to bring up is Seiss.
Right.
And he's one of those kind of incredible fighters that fought against the Ramun soldiers when Ramun and Altago were having their war, and is nicknamed the Falcon. Mm-hmm. I don't mind his character so much.
He's okay. He's another one that doesn't pop up a heck of a lot, but he befriends Errol and Dogi sort of early on, as they seem to be sort of having trouble with the local military.
Right, the Dragoons.
Not a lot of trouble, but he's their go-to guy when they get in trouble with them at all. If they sort of have a run-in or something, he's higher up on the food chain for the military, and he's able to pardon them and let them go free. And he's okay. I don't really like his look all that much. I mean,
a little funky. I want to say that the illustration for E7, there's something a little off about it. When it comes to kind of the facial structure. Seems like there was something a little... Because Dogi looks really odd in the game, I think, compared to some of his other looks.
Well, pretty cartoony.
Yeah, I don't know, there's just something.
His jawline's very square, and I don't know, they kind of blocky.
A little blocky, but I guess something else to bring up during the fighting bits is that you build up, I guess for lack of a better word, SP.
Yeah.
Skill points. You build up skill points by smashing monsters, and you can charge your attacks and if you land those charged attacks, you get more SP.
Right.
And that SP will allow you to use your skills, and you have various skills that you can use by holding down the R trigger and hitting the 4 different buttons. And you can assign them however you want. So if you wanted to, you could be like, well, I don't want this to be this R circle, I want it to be RX, and you shall do it.
Right.
So, and then you can, it's kind of a typical, I don't really, it's nothing too horribly unique about it, I would say. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, it's on the PSP. I mean, there's only so much you can kind of do, and if you made it really complicated, the speed of the game wouldn't really allow for that.
Right.
I mean, these battles are very quick. We haven't really touched upon that. This game was specifically made for the PSP.
Correct.
And so it runs incredibly smoothly. It looks great. I think it looks great. I mean, I've read some people say they don't like it, but I think it looks very good for a PSP game. and everything just is fluid. You don't get a lot of choppiness in music breaking down while the screen is loading or something. Everything moves very, very quickly and very smoothly and easily. And if you had to deal with some sort of, okay, now I got to pause, and it wouldn't work such as something like Grandia, which is sort of kind of pseudo real time, but not. You couldn't really have this where you could pause and then make an attack. It just wouldn't work in this game at all. Mm. It has to be continuous. You can't stop, and I don't know. I think if they did that, it would have really not made the game fun at all. Because it's a really fun game. It's just get in there, beat these things down, throw your skills out there, and just have fun. I mean, I don't even know. You can level up the skills, but does it really do much? I mean,
yeah, it does. It'll strengthen the skill, and
it does slowly. Okay, because I couldn't really tell all that much. I mean,
you usually have a little bit extra to it. Mm-hmm. Unless I'm melding that with Salsetta. But
no, I'm sure something. I mean, they wouldn't have a level up bar there for nothing, right? It's just
there's a little extra to it usually, and you can level it up. I believe 3 levels is the max level.
For the regular skills?
For the regular skills, I thought so.
I'm pretty sure you can go way higher than that. I think I had ones that were 7 and 8.
Oh wait, never mind. I'm thinking Salsetta then.
I think you can go pretty high on these. Sorry. I don't know if there is a limit, but I don't remember reaching one at all. So
there's maybe, I don't know. Anywho, you can level up the skill. So maybe it doesn't. God damn it, Salsetta! Out of my mind, Salsetta.
I don't know. They must do something eventually, though, right? They must, as you said, there must be some sort of incremental increase in power or
just
something.
Gets a little bit stronger than
probably a little bit faster, maybe. I don't know. I didn't notice it enough to really, I guess, care, but. It'd be, it'd say, level up this skill, and then it's painfully hard to level them up.
Yeah,
it takes a long time.
A lot, if you use them a lot. And then you also have a special skill or the extra skill, what do they
ultimate skill or something?
And when you use that, it's pretty much your ultimate attack, and you have a special orb for that. Well, not an orb, but it is a bar. It's like
a bar, yeah.
It's a, god damn it, Salsetta.
It's a yellow bar.
Well, yeah. Anywho, once it's maxed out, you use that, and you unleash destruction.
Mighty Fury.
Mighty Fury. Mighty Fury upon your enemies. And the thing is that if you were to use that, you want to use that pretty much for bosses or the kind of special secret enemies that are really hard.
Right.
Because using it on normal enemies is a bit of a waste.
Right. And that's another thing that does take a while to charge up. It doesn't fill up very quickly either. So
it depends. If you have items for it to kind of.
If you're using items or something, yes. But if you're just doing it by just fighting, it takes a long time.
A little bit of time, right. And that gets into the bosses. What did you think of the bosses?
Oh, quick, don't forget, there is a stun bar in this game as well.
Well, that's what I wanted to bring up.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Sure.
So what did you think of the bosses?
They're okay. Somewhat forgettable, honestly, aside from the dragons to me. They're just kind of goofy animals, most of them. I mean, here's a rock turtle, here's a flame spider. It's just, I don't know. They're not bad or anything. They're just very, to me, still kind of generic. It's just, they're just animals that have some extra slight feature to them. It's whether it's an elemental power or something. I don't know.
Right. Yeah, I personally didn't think there was too horribly, I guess, remarkable things about the bosses to kind of say. And it's like, oh, they're a bit bigger and they're a little harder.
Mm-hmm. They're fun to fight, and they're very, very fun to fight. I just can't even picture most of them in my mind at all.
And that gets me to the stun bar. What that is there's certain skills that I believe will actually allow you to kind of do more stun damage. Mm-hmm. And by stunning the enemy, you can actually acquire a lot more SP and beat the living bejesus out of these enemies.
Giant creatures.
Bosses, just bosses. If new enemies might be really tough, maybe, that too, or whatever. And they're kind of in a comatose moment. They're kind of blinking yellow.
Right. They're all yellow, and they have stars floating over their head or something.
Right, and you just wail. That is the time to just unleash fury.
Right, because even if you have a weapon that is defended by that creature, you can still do quite a bit more damage if you can get them into the stun mode.
Right.
And
because you're kind of like critting.
Right, you just beat them down pretty hard. But then the thing is, if you pick the character or the weapon that is their weakness, they just get destroyed in maybe a couple shots or something. It's pretty satisfying to get something in stun mode, especially a boss, where if you're in big trouble and you're just taking tons of damage, but you just see that meter slowly filling up, and you get them into stun mode, and you can just unleash your fury on them. It's really cool.
Exactly.
Yeah, I like it. It's a nice touch. It really helps save your butt some of the time, too.
Right, because, they didn't have that before that I can think of, and God, is that like, having the party system to begin with, but having that stun bar makes the games a lot easier.
Right.
Which I don't mind. I love the fiendishly, dickishly hard setting that Felghana can be at times, but it is nice not to have that be an issue so much from time to time.
Right.
So I don't know. What would you say the difficulty of the game?
I recall dying a few times, probably 4 or 5 times or something. Mostly just my own error because you have to get used to certain bosses, their movement and things like that, and just get your timing down when you're dodging and finding the proper moment to attack. And I think I might have even died on the first boss because I just was not really accustomed to the controls still. I didn't really go to much trouble of... I think I leveled up a little bit, but I wasn't really using the dodge very much. Mm-hmm. And obviously the old Ys games don't have that, or at least 1 and 2 didn't have that, so I just assumed I could just kind of strafe back and forth and things. And I got my butt handed to me, and you learn really fast that you really need that dodge button.
Yeah.
For just about everything. And it helps you maneuver around bosses to hit them from behind if you have to or whatever. I don't think it's a terribly hard game for the most part, but you do want to make sure that you're, as much as you can carry, you want to have your healing items stocked up, and you want to have whatever proper item you can have at that time, maybe that whatever does some sort of feature on screen that allows you to move faster or not slip on ice or whatever. So you just got to be somewhat prepared, that's all.
Okay, all right. I guess with that, we'd be remiss not to mention would be the music.
Yeah, I think Ys has always been known for music, so I think that E7 does. Oh yeah, for sure. You definitely sent me a number of tracks from different games and stuff that have all had the very common Ys theme to them, but are also very different and very unique and very cool. And E7 doesn't really do much different in that regard, but the soundtrack is still great. It's just got a lot of very catchy tunes, a lot of rock. I mean, Ys seems to really lean towards having a guitar always thrown in there, electric guitar or some heavy drum beat or something. There's a few tracks that are outside of that, such as maybe Tia's theme is sort of the main theme of the game, basically. And you get maybe, 3 or 4 tracks that are very similar. Maybe there's the piano track of that song, and then there's the fully orchestrated version of that song, and what have you. So
a range of that song.
Sure, there's different times in the game where that's the song for sadness, but it's just slightly adjusted or whatever.
Right.
But
yeah, as I say, is there any that stick to your mind that are maybe your favorites? I don't know.
Yeah, I wrote down a couple here. There's one song called Oral Tradition, which is used for pretty much any time anything mystical happens.
Right.
almost always you hear that same track. It's a nice track. You do get a little tired of it because it does get brought up quite a bit. As I just mentioned, the Tia track. I really liked all of the tracks in. I'm forgetting the town name. The one that Nishara comes from.
Segram?
No, not Segram is from Mustafa.
Oh yeah, that's right. Kairos.
Is that the Wind Village?
Right.
Right.
Kairos. I know it is Kairos.
I'm drawing a blank. The town theme song for that is excellent. The Wind Sanctum and the Wind Seal Cavern, or whatever you want to call it. It's not really a cavern. It's more like sort of a tower, I guess. I really like that. I liked all the stuff that was sort of in that range. I do like the rock stuff. I do. What is that? The Seagram Desert. That one's really cool.
That's Desert of Despair.
Right, Desert of Despair.
Definitely one of my favorites.
Yeah, that one's good. I like the Lower Town, or the Old Town theme. I think it's called Children in the Shadows.
Yes, it is.
That one's really good. I have a couple others that are written down here, but just off the top of my head, I can't exactly place where they go in the games, so I won't mention too many more. But yeah, I mean, you've got the OST yourself, so
yeah, I don't know what's different between the soundtrack that I have and the one that you could get from the not compilate, but the special pack from XC.
Right, and I can't tell you because I never bothered to open the CD, and not for any reason, more so just my computer. You've seen it; it doesn't have a CD drive.
Right. Oops.
It's no other reason why, but I would just presume it's got obviously a fraction of the tracks.
Yeah, because I know for Trails in the Sky, they're missing like half the songs. Maybe not half, but close to half the songs.
Well, OST, is it more than one disc?
Yes, it is.
Okay, well, this is only one disc. So.
Okay, so I don't know what's in it and what's not, but yeah, this has this has 52 songs.
Okay, that's pretty solid. So
yeah, and it's got all, and it's got two different versions of Innocent Primeval Breaker, which is the opening theme, which I really, 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 really like the opening theme. I enjoy the initial boss fight theme, the Vacant Interference.
Right.
See, I kind of gravitated more towards the rock ones.
Okay, that's fair enough. I mean,
but I also really enjoyed the Desert of Despair, as well as Crossing Rage. Crossing Rage is the one song that comes up during probably maybe the most, I don't want to say emotional, but at least the most home moment of the game.
The pivotal scene?
I don't want to say pivotal, but it's like a, oh damn, it's going down kind of fight.
Yeah.
And I don't want to spoil it per se.
Well, don't say nothing, yeah.
But yeah, you just wait. You just love it. Yeah, that's just go to town with that all.
Now, what is the theme that's played during the credits is very nice too. What's that one? Reflections or something, or? It's definitely one of the final tracks on the.
Like it might be
maybe track 48 or 49, maybe, or something.
No, that doesn't help me any. I don't know, honestly, off the top of my head.
Anyways, I really like the theme that plays during the credits. It's a very nice theme.
Maybe like a new flower, maybe?
I think it's the track before that on the disc.
Well, that doesn't help me.
Yeah, okay. It's a very good track. It's some Reflections or something. I don't know.
Well, I will have to say this, though. I know some people like it, but I am not the biggest fan of the remake from 2's music.
No,
I'm not a big fan of it.
What is it called?
Don't Go So Smoothly.
Don't Go So Smoothly.
Right. It's so, I don't know. There's just something about it.
You don't like 2, so that's.
I think. Well, it's not even just that, but there's something. It feels out of place for the game.
A little bit.
It feels like they kind of put it in there as a what's the word I'm looking for? Yeah, an Easter egg for
little thing for the fans. Yeah.
Yeah, but I personally I love all the boss fights, and to reveal the way to go, that is an amazing song too.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I think that's enoughies. I don't know, last words you want to kind of put in there.
Yeah, well, the last words are, we're playing 10 degrees of comparison.
All right, okay.
This is going to be a short one. I was going to do the characters, but you already brought that up, and I'm trying to mix it up a little bit, and I was really trying to think of what's maybe a different way of going about it this time. And so this time we're going to do the 10 degrees of comparison for the 5 dragons that are in the... So without giving away too much, hopefully, about the story, as you can probably guess, the dragons are based through elemental powers, basically, as many dragons are in a lot of games. And so we've got 5 dragons here. And I don't know, I'd really like to know your thoughts on, each one just by score. We don't have to go into too much detail because it'll just take too much time. But why don't we kick it off here with the first dragon, and that is the Wind Dragon. Now, do you remember what it kind of looks like?
Yeah, it's more of, I don't know, like...
It's basically the overweight dragon that's found the donut behind the sofa or something. It's
yeah,
this giant puff.
I know, it's more of, I wasn't expecting to go by, like, the dragons, because I really was pretty indifferent towards them. So.
Okay, well, still, what are your kind of general thoughts of that one? Just a score. I mean, we're doing a score of 1 to 10.
I know, but I really didn't have much of a care for the dragons.
Well, you're playing this game, Taylor, so give me a score.
I really 7. I guess
7.
Okay.
7.
Really,
I'm going like 4. I think that dragon stinks.
but he's a fat dragon.
He's a fat dragon, but he just floats and basically doesn't do anything.
He's like Buddha. He's Buddha dragon.
Yeah. Buddha could knock this dragon into orbit. All right, next is the Flame Dragon.
I like the Flame Dragon.
Yeah.
Or, I guess an 8.
Okay, that one was really neat. It looked really cool.
I like his look.
Yeah, it looked really different. It almost similar to a bull mixed with a sort of ankylosaurus look. It's very different, very, very different for a dragon. I really like that too. I would probably give that a... Ankylosaurus was that dinosaur that was very low to the ground, and it had the spikes on its side and the sort of rock.
Oh, with the little, like, mace ball for a tail.
Right. This dragon sort of resembles that mixed with a bull, but very big. Mm-hmm. So I would probably give that one 8.5. I really like that boss fight, and I thought the look was really cool. All right, next we'll jump over to the Earth Dragon.
I'd say 6.5.
Okay. That one was a really cool boss battle, though, I thought.
Yeah, the battle was fun. If you're going by, like, a battle, but...
Well, sure, we're kind of mixing that in, and not just the look, I mean...
Right. I'd go with 6.5.
Okay, the look is not that great for that dragon, but the boss fight kind of bumps it up a bit for me. I'd probably give it about a 7.5. All right, so moving on to the next one, and we have the Water Dragon.
I'd say 7.5.
Okay, that was probably my favorite of the dragon battles. Mm-hmm. It's basically almost like a big long snake, and it's got the, I don't know what you would call it, but almost like feelers that come out from its nose that some dragons that you see artistically have.
Right.
And it uses those to strike, and it's just really cool because the battle changes from being on an ice floor to back into the water, and
yeah, see, I found that more to be a pain in the ass.
It's hard. It is hard, but
I wouldn't say hard. It's just a pain.
Okay, well, I like that dragon. I'd probably give it I'd give it a solid 8. So that leaves us with the final dragon, and hopefully this doesn't spoil anything, but it is the Moon Dragon.
It is the Banana Dragon.
Yeah, and the Moon Dragon is kind of weird because you just go right to it, and it's just, here he is, fight. You don't really have any sort of build-up to it except for, okay, just go to this place and you'll be taken right to the dragon.
Right.
That's kind of weird to me. I thought that was a bit odd, but I don't know. What did you think on that one?
Kind of lackluster.
Yeah.
So, like, 5.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, it does have 2 forms, but yeah, I wasn't that enthralled either. I'd probably give it 5.5. I give it the.
I'm telling you,
because at least it had 2 colors, I guess. But
well, I don't know. The drag, like, it felt like I don't want to say tacked on, but they were tacked on.
They were tacked on to explain something because they didn't even add new areas for them, right? You just go to the areas.
That didn't bother me so much. It just felt like they kind of did it to give it a bit of something to distinguish it. Mm. Like you needed the 5 dragons, or you need, something to kind of. I felt that the kind of the secret or the special enemies were a lot more fun to fight than the dragons. But
okay,
they had cool music. I'll say that. I like the music. So, but yeah, that is all she wrote.
All right, well, that's another game of 10 degrees of comparison. So, all right, so why don't we move on to a little Detective Gamer then?
Well, I was about to say, did you want to wrap up your thoughts on
Oh, sure. Yeah, I guess that would be a good idea.
So, final thoughts.
Final thoughts. E7, very good game. I would give it a thumbs up for sure. I think that if you have a PSP and are interested in some really quick, fun, get in there and get down and dirty action game, but still won't just end right away, E7 is definitely one you should try. It's very, very basic in the sense that you don't have to have much skill to get into it and really enjoy it. And I think that's a very good thing for this game. And yeah, I don't have much else to say. Check out the soundtrack if you like something that's RPG blended with a bit of a Western flavor with a lot of the rock. Yeah, just give E7 a shot.
I see. Yeah, I kind of echo some of those sentiments. I really like the game. I know I kind of bash East from time to time, I guess, to some people, because even though I like it, I can be a bit critical of it from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed the game. The boss fights, while some of them are fun, the side special strong enemies are a lot more fun to fight, I think, personally. Mm. So, as you said, it's an easy game to pick up. However, it can be a difficult game to master.
That's true.
If you're looking for that kind of nuance in a game, then I would definitely say pick it up, particularly for the music. The music sounds. So, if you like the music, if you like game music, this is definitely a game soundtrack I would totally recommend. So, yeah. So definitely pick it up for the PSP. Now, yep. Go. So
give your PSP some love.
Exactly.
All right.
And yeah, with that, I guess into, as you said, the Detective Gamer.
Yes, sir.
And with that, also is, I guess, applause. Congratulations to Return to Mother Base, as the individual actually had gotten the 3 points needed to win Detective Gamer.
Yes, very, very quickly, too.
Very quickly, indeed. And to recap, the 3 clues from the last game were: main character is a cop, takes place in New York City, and Yoko Shimomura does the music. And the game was Parasite Eve.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So congratulations to you, Return to Mother Base. With that, I would also like to add in, I guess, from here, the rules?
Yeah, sort of stipulations, I guess, for
stipulations.
Sort of next round.
Right. Stipulation number 1, you are barred from this this one, Mr. Return to Mother Base. So basically what happens is everybody is put back to 0.
Right.
And that is because if we were to do this and there would be like 5 people at 2 or something, and 5 people get it, or, one person gets it, and then one person gets it, and then we'd be sending out stuff like every other week. Yes. And I can't afford that. Sushi probably can't afford that. So what happens is that gets brought back down to 0, so everybody's at an even playing field except for the winner from the last round, which is not allowed to play this time around.
Right.
Sorry.
But once this round finishes, more than welcome to start again. So.
Exactly. So
we're just trying to keep it fair so it doesn't get kind of spammed out of control kind of thing.
Well, that, and also that there's at least an opportunity for other people to get it, so it's not like the same person over and over. It's not that we don't love you.
No, it's just...
We want to spread our love.
Yes. Yes.
So, the clues for this new Detective Gamer are: spiritual successor. Series started in the 6th generation of consoles. And continuing will cost you.
Dun dun dun.
Dun dun dun. So once again...
the infamous Taylor. Dun dun dun. Dun dun dun.
So once again, spiritual successor. Series started in the 6th generation of consoles. Continuing will cost you. And once again, email those to bananastand, one word, at fastmail.fm. Bananastand@fastmail.fm.
Yes. I think this one, those audio clues are pretty generic, so I think you're really going to have to dig deep on this one. And it would probably do you some good to try to check out the visual clue on YouTube as well.
Exactly. So, yeah. So good luck. And congratulations to Return of Mother.
Yeah, congrats.
So, yeah, and that's it. Anything else you want to add there, Sushi?
No, just to reiterate, E7 was a good experience. I really enjoyed it. I'm glad you and I were able to agree to do it, and I hope that if anyone out there hasn't given it a shot and has a PSP, they should definitely check it out. And stay tuned for obviously another portable episode in the near future. And don't forget to just try your damnedest for that detective gamer. We're always trying to get people on board with that. So you get the free stuff, right?
Indeedy. So yeah, I guess with that, thanks for listening, guys, and have a good day.